Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Ross, and I am the Student Services Coordinator for scholarships in our college. And so during this session, I'm going to go over some tips and tricks on how to apply for your scholarships through Scholarship Universe, and as well as some recommendations and due dates. So with that, your scholarship application, as well as the FAFSA deadline, is January 7th. And so number one, it is important to complete both. Sometimes students may think, oh, I don't have a lot of financial need, and so I'm not going to do the FAFSA. But here in the Trulaske College of Business, you do have to complete the FAFSA to be considered for Trulaske College of Business scholarships. And so it's really important that you get both of these things done by January 7th. So with that, before I get into the scholarship application, I want to explain a few things with the different types of scholarships we have available. So in Scholarship Universe, you're going to be able to apply for Mizzou scholarships and College of Business scholarships, but also scholarships that are outside of the University of Missouri. Scholarship Universe is a company that will vet different scholarships throughout the nation to make sure they're legit. And so if they meet their criteria, they will then be put into Scholarship Universe and you will have the opportunity to apply for them. So what I mean by outside of the university is, let's say Google or a local bank or a restaurant from your hometown has a scholarship. If Scholarship Universe has vetted that scholarship, they will allow those applications to be a part of Scholarship Universe as well. So when I say the deadline is January 7th for scholarships, that is for University of Missouri scholarships and Trulaske College of Business scholarships. So outside of the university, those scholarships will have their own deadlines throughout the year. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and have us do is I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the process of using Scholarship Universe. All right. So the first thing we will want to do is you will need to log in to missouri.scholarshipuniverse.com. So typically you would log in with your paw print and password. And then this page is going to look a little bit different. This is my view as an employee. So I'm going to go ahead and change my view to the student view, which should look similar to your view. Okay. So this is your dashboard. And so this will have a little bit of information for you. So the one thing I want to point out is that 890 open and future scholarships. So as I mentioned before, that will be University of Missouri scholarships, Trulaske College of Business scholarships, but also scholarships outside of the university as well. And then here, the 168 scholarships, those are school scholarships you qualify for. So schools would be University of Missouri. All right, but from here, we're mostly going to talk about our scholarships in the Trulaske College of Business. Okay, so the first thing you will want to do is go to questions on the left. And this will have a variety of different questions. And the amount of questions that show up on here as completed is going to depend on how many questions you did last year. So you can see when the question was last answered. And so for me, I answered this question last November. Now, some of the questions, though, are directly have data pulled from Mizzou. And so this question I didn't actually answer, but Mizzou inputted the high school that I graduated from. So what you'll want to do is look through all your questions that are on here and make sure they are correct. Okay. If there is a change that needs to be made, so I currently live in the United States, but let's say I was an online student and actually living in Portugal, then you can click edit and change those answers. But for the most part, these will all be accurate for you. Okay. Now, the Trulaske College of Business, I do not rely on these answers too much because I actually will pull information from MyZoo. So for example, let's say we have a scholarship and it has to go to a female student from the St. Louis area. Well, I can actually pull all that information from MyZoo, so I don't need you to complete this here. So for the Trulaske College of Business, these questions are not a huge deal in answering them. However, for the University of Missouri scholarships or for outside scholarships, they may rely more heavily on this data. And so I think the number one priority you should have is filling out our applications, which I will show you how to do that in just a moment. But if after you fill out your applications and you want to, keep working through scholarships, you can always click answer more questions and you can fill in some more data for Scholarship Universe. Okay. So from here, let's go ahead and go to the applications I mentioned before. And there are two different types of scholarships in Scholarship Universe for the Trulaske College of Business. So about 60% of our scholarships, you do not have to actually apply for them because like I said, I will pull student data from MyZoo. So again, if it is demographic information, as I described earlier with the female from St. Louis instance, then you do not have to apply to those. Now, the scholarships that do require applications, that means that I need information that I cannot get through MyZoo. So maybe that requires an essay, or maybe you need to answer a question about your work history or extracurriculars that you're involved in. And so the other 40% of our scholarships do require an application. And so that's what I'm going to go through right now is our different applications. So when you go to applications, you will have 3 different categories of applications. So if you haven't started anything yet, they will all be in ready to start. But once you start working on an application, it will move to in progress. And then once you've submitted an application, it will go to submitted. And so I'm just going to go through each of our different applications to highlight what the criteria they're looking for, and then you can decide for yourself if you meet the criteria and if you should apply for those applications. So the first application is business additional questions, and in my opinion, every single student should complete this application. And the reason why is it applies to 34 different scholarships, and those 34 different scholarships all have different requirements. And so it would be in your best interest to fill out the business additional questions. From there, in the Trulaske College of Business, we have about 6 other applications, and I will tell you the requirements for those applications so you can decide if you want to complete it or not. So the Robert J. Trulaske Senior is a scholarship that is between $5,000 and $9,500 per year for up to 4 years. And this scholarship is for students who probably have in between like a 3.0 and a 3.5 GPA. So the Trulaske family wanted to look at students who are kind of in that, still had really great grades, but maybe are not necessarily top tier. And then because of that are not receiving other scholarships. And so this would be a good application if you fall in between that 3.0 to 3.5 GPA range. The next application, it's really more of a place to submit a letter of recommendation. So the Sherlock Hibbs Scholarship, it is looking for high achieving students who do not have financial need. But it does require students to have a letter of recommendation from an academic advisor or a counselor or professor. All right. The other Trulaske College of Business scholarships with an application is we have the Bob and Judy Silver Forbes Scholarship in Human Resources. So this is for students specifically applying for the Human Resources Certificate. The Ponder Minority Scholarship, it is $10,000 per year for up to 4 years, and it is for any student that is an ethnic minority student. The Sam Walton Business Scholarship, Endowment Scholarship, it is for any student who is interested in working in retail, and it is only for finance, marketing, and management students. This award is $7,500 per year for up to 4 years. And then they have a program they are a part of, the Walton Scholars Program. The next one is always kind of funny to describe. So it is the Roth Kindness Scholarship. And so if you have shown a great kindness and can demonstrate that in an essay, I would encourage you to apply for that as well. And then the Allen Access Scholarship is $10,000 per year for up to 4 years. And it is for students that are considered under-resourced. So if you have a lot of high need, but not a lot of grants or scholarships to pay for your education, this would be a good scholarship for you to apply as well. And so with that, those are the Trulaske College of Business scholarships that require an application that is due on January 7th. Another one I would encourage you all to apply to is the MU Financial Aid General Scholarship application. So this is for the entire University of Missouri. And as you can see, 125 scholarships are linked to this application. So it would be important to complete this application as well. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open our business additional questions application and go through the application with you, so you have an idea of what the application looks like and what we are looking for as a committee. Before I open this application, I do want to just kind of warn you, as you're going through it, you're going to think, wow, these are really random questions, and that is 100% true. And the reason why is because it applies to 34 different scholarships. Each of those scholarships are looking for something different. And so that's why there is just a wide range of questions that you'll need to complete. Okay. So if this application is in ready to start, you would click Start Application. But since mine is in progress, meaning I've already started it, we're going to go ahead and select Continue. Okay. So again, these are the 34 scholarships that are linked to this application, and these range in different amounts. So the highest amount scholarship is the Allen Bridgeford, and it is up to $12,500 over 4 years. So that is our highest amount out of these 34. And then our lowest amount would be $400 to $500. So there's a wide range in the amount that these scholarships will award. Most scholarships, however, award in between the $1,000 to $2,000 range. So just keep that in mind as you're looking through these. Okay. So the first question that you will have is, this will pull information from MyZoo, and you just need to check and make sure that it is correct. And if it's not, you are able to adjust it here. However, we do always check your GPA and the academic unit you're enrolled in through MyZoo. So there is always that verification. But for you, you just need to say if this information is true, and if it is, you say, I verify all information above is correct. I will provide supporting documentation if required. And then we click Continue. Okay. The next tip I have for you is I would recommend having your resume pulled up with you, because some of these questions are going to come directly from your resume. And the first two are good examples of that. So please list any leadership activities you participated in, and list extracurricular activities in which you participated. Include dates or years of participation. So if you have your resume pulled up next to you, you can just copy and paste from your resume into these boxes because you already have them listed out on your resume. Okay. The next question is, are you a member of any of the following Greek chapters, honor societies, or social organizations? So in this category, it is mostly anything that involves Greek letters. So if you are involved in any of those organizations, you are able to select and to search for them. So let's say you're in Delta Sigma Pi, which is a business fraternity here in the College of Business, but maybe you're also in Greek life. And so you can then also type in your fraternity or sorority and select multiple different options. I personally was not in Greek life or an honor society, so I would select an A for me. Now, don't worry if you're not involved in any of these, because you do have the opportunity to put what social organizations you're involved in up here as well. They're just not all listed here. Okay. The next question is, how many hours per week do you work? So if you have a job, you can go ahead and type in the number of hours you work. And if you do not have a job, you can select an A. And then here's another resume question. So list any work or volunteer experience, include dates or years of service. The next question, are you a member of Gamma Iota Sigma fraternity? So that is a risk management fraternity we have in the College of Business. And since it is not listed up here, we had to add it down here. So you can select yes, no, or not applicable. And then describe how you've contributed to your community through work and volunteerism, and how those experiences have impacted your life and the lives of others. So this is our first essay question. So you'll have about 5 essay questions you need to complete. My recommendation is to pull up a Word document and to type your answer into that Word document. Each of our essay questions is no more than 500 words. And so you can keep track of your word count in Microsoft Word and also use spell check. But another good reason to put it in a Word document is I would recommend that you save it, because you will have these similar questions every single year that you apply to scholarships. And so if you have that working document, then you could just adjust it each year as your experiences change, and then you don't have to start from scratch every year. It's also good to be able to reference and see what you put the year before. Now with this, I say no more than 500 words, but we are looking for business style writing, which if you haven't taken your business writing intensive yet, is really about quality over quantity. So don't feel like you have to put as many words as possible, because more does not always mean better, correct? So if you type 350 words and it's a really good essay that is straight into the point and answers the question all the way through, then that is fine as well. All right. Then we have a couple of questions about membership in the Qantas Key Club and the ROTC program. And then you can hit continue. So what's cool about this application too is you can skip around. So you can go to the next page without completing this full page. So you can kind of work through it at your own pace. Okay. The next question is about some career interests. So are you pursuing a career in database management? Do you have an interest in small business development? And then do you intend to enroll full-time for fall 22 and spring 23 academic year, which means at least 12 credit hours for undergrad and 9 hours for graduate. A lot of our scholarships do require students to be enrolled full-time. And then the next question is, if you're not currently accepted into the upper level, which business emphasis area are you pursuing? So sometimes we have scholarships that maybe, you know, are looking for a freshman that's interested in accountancy. Well, we know that you cannot get into the accounting program as a freshman. And so this gives our underclassmen the opportunity to let us know what you're planning to pursue. And you also have the option to select multiple options. So let's say you want to do international business, but we know you have to have an emphasis and maybe you want to do marketing with that. So international business and marketing, or maybe you are doing accountancy, you can select that. All right, and then we will continue on to the next page. These questions ask questions about your family. So are any one or more of your parents a carpenter, tradesman, or housekeeper? Are any of your relatives were or are members of the Jefferson Masonic Lodge in Jeff City, Missouri? And then the last page is our remaining essay questions. So please describe a time in which you've demonstrated good moral character. Please describe your professional goals after graduation. Please describe a time you showed perseverance in overcoming adversity. And then write a brief statement to explain what impact the scholarship would have on your education. Because some scholarships require financial need, you may want to include information on your family's financial situation. So all the essay questions are important, but I specifically want to point this one out because as I am looking through scholarship data, when it comes to your financial situation, all I can see is numbers such as, you know, your FAFSA scores, your EFC, which is your estimated family contribution, your cost of attendance, your unmet need, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't necessarily tell me the full story. So, you know, if your family has had a recent accident or if something has occurred that's changed your financial situation, this is when you would have the chance to explain that a little further in your essay. Okay. So again, as I said before, the business additional questions is definitely a good application to complete as it will apply to 34 different scholarships. All right. So with that, I do just want to explain a few things before we end our session. So the way that the scholarship selection happens is I, as a scholarship coordinator, will pull all of our scholarship data and I look at each scholarship and see what the criteria is. And then I provide my recommendations to a committee. And the committee is made up of 4 professors, one from each of our academic areas. So the accounting, management, finance, and marketing. And so from there, they either approve my recommendations or they will make some changes to the recommendations. So it is a committee that selects the scholarship recipients. With scholarships, it is true that a lot of our scholarships look at financial need and academics. However, there is a wide range of different scholarships. So for example, we have a scholarship that, you know, says it can't go to anybody with above a 2.5 GPA. And so, you know, if if a student was concerned that they didn't have a high enough GPA and didn't apply, then they would miss out on that chance. We also have some scholarships that require students to be from specific counties. And so if we only have one student from that county, then they receive the scholarship. Last year, I know we have a lot of risk management and insurance certificate scholarships, but we only had one risk management student apply. And so then that student was the only one eligible for those scholarships. And so it's always good to apply because you never know. Something else to keep in mind is throughout the board, about 25% of our scholarships go to freshmen, 25% to sophomore, 25% to junior, and 25% to senior. So if you did not get a scholarship last year, that does not mean you will not get one this year. So again, every year that you progress in the College of Business, you are then eligible for a different set of scholarships. And so it's important to think about that as well. With all of that being said, again, the scholarship application and FAFSA is due January 7th. But keep in mind that the university will be closed December 24th through January 3rd for winter break. And so if you're working on the scholarship application during that time, campus will be closed. And then from January 3rd through January 7th, I will actually be in Portugal taking our students studying abroad. And so you may email me with any questions you may have. However, it may be with the time difference, it may take a while for me to get a response to you. So if you have a timely question about something, you can also reach out to the financial aid office on campus. And my email is Trulaske Abroad, or not Trulaske Abroad, that's our study abroad email, but trulaskscholarships@missouri.edu. Okay, and then if you are listening to this video to receive EDGE points, it'll be important for you to check the Suitable app because there is a second assignment for you to receive the full points. And that assignment is due January 5th to get your EDGE points. Thank you for participating in this session, and best of luck to you all, and have a good holiday season.